Welcome back, everyone, to an exciting episode of
Kicking it with Gavin Chooch. All of a sudden, Ivan doesn't do the whole intro.
I
We're
Blame.
53 episodes deep, and Ivan has forgotten how to do the intro after a 4-day or 3-day vacation.
Way to
Um,
go.
anyways, if you've made it this far into the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and most importantly, share with all your friends and mates. Um, Getting right into it, we are going to start with our awards. We're going to go banger of the week and star boy of the week. Who is your banger of the week, Ivan?
I had two. I had Vitinha and Sabitzer. Both bangers. Um, I feel like Sabitzer, I think I give it to him because it's like across the body, you know, goal, and it was like it was a good take and strike, and especially in the moment of the game, he's just absolute beauty. Vitinha's goal was good. But I'll give it to
Yeah,
Sabitzer.
I'm going to have to go Vitinha. Just, really strong hit. I think it was the first goal of the game for them. Um, yeah, it was a pretty good goal. I mean, there was a couple of defenders standing in front of Ter Stegen, but still really well low and driven. Even when he had time to react, it was too late. But I really, really liked Kimmich's header. Just felt big, important time. Only goal of the game. He just came screaming in. It felt like on the screen. Screen wasn't even on him at all. Cross comes in. It
Nice.
just the camera angle just absolutely makes it look for sure like he's screaming in. Gets the goal, and then Fulkrig's goal as well. Very similar, same thing, just about. But his was a little bit finessier, I'd say. His had a little bit of finesse. He just dinked it back to the right where he came from, and it curled in basically. Uh, but beautiful goals for sure. And then Star Boy of the Week, I am going to go Ian Mattinson. He's absolutely gotten some great playing time at Dortmund. I feel like he's been a really big game changer for them. So young. I mean, we know Bundesliga. We know, Dortmund are always willing to take on youngsters. They always take on fantastic players when they're young. We've seen the Lewandowskis, the Hollands, tons of other players there doing their thing before their exact prime. But I mean, this is one of those runs. This is one of those runs for Dortmund. Lewandowski esque. Marco Reus when he was younger. Lewandowski, Gundogan. Those guys on the team make it deep in the Champions League. This is a run for them. They're having quite a good time. But Ian Mattinson, I mean, he's been a really good goal scorer for them as well. Plays left back. We know he could play cam. We know he could play wing. He could play right wing, left wing, cam, center mid, left back. That's basically the most important thing. He gets my star boy of the week as he scores a goal in my game of the week as well.
Rightfully deserved. Star Boy of the Week. Looks like he's
Chelsea
set.
boy.
It looks like he's gonna be staying there. They're looking to make it permanent. It's gonna hurt to see, but maybe
He never going
maybe it'll
back,
help.
buddy.
Maybe it'll help out, especially with financial fair play. Get a quick 40 mil from him. I'll take it.
40. Whoa. I don't know about that. That's
Yes,
a
buddy.
lot.
Trust.
Anyways, we are going to get into our Champions League recap, hit the Premier League weekend, and then finish off with the FA Cup. Going into our Champions League recap, we're going to start with Tuesday's games. We had uh, Barcelona versus PSG and Dortmund Atletico. Barcelona PSG ended 1-4 for PSG, and then 4-6 on aggregate for PSG as they advance. I think just an absolute ref show. Disgusting red card from Araujo. Um, honestly, I just think it's a huge flop from the attacking player. It is an obvious goal scoring opportunity, I would say, but at the same time, I don't feel he was fouled at all. I feel, you know, it's a dive, 100%. If you have a look at the game, if you actually watch the game, Gundogan went down in the same exact manner. I thought with a little bit more contact on the other end, and nothing. I mean, they gave him a yellow for simulation. Felt that was the exact same. Just absolute script from UEFA. Um, just unreal. I mean, they
Yeah,
wanted the Mbappe Madrid saga. This was the first lever, and they brought Barca because Barca was absolutely dominating this game in every
yeah.
aspect.
Lamine Yamal got the assist early on
Mm-hmm.
uh, to Rafinha. Yeah, Rafinha.
Rafinha, who stepped up
Um,
huge.
he started. Yeah, and I completely agree 100%. That red card changed the whole game, the whole outcome of the game, and it sucked to see. Just because, you know, obviously I wanted PSG to win just because, I want to see Mbappe score and whatnot. But just the fact that it was in the manner that it was just, leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Especially, it's the Champions League quarterfinal. It's a yellow card at most.
Yeah. But you know
Absolutely
what? At the end of the
robbed.
day, when this final happens, whoever wins, no one's gonna remember
No
this
one remember.
red card. 10 years from now, they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, Mbappe won it, or Madrid won it." Again. Like no one's gonna be like, "Oh, but remember that red card?" So of course, man. Just hate to see it.
Absolutely, and yeah, because once the red card happened, you know, Yamal was the one that got sacrificed, had to get subbed off, and then it was just completely quiet on that bar on the right side, and
Yeah.
hate to see it.
Just
And then
absolutely.
Xavi got red carded, and then one of the
Yeah.
assistant managers got red carded, and it
Yeah.
just turned into a complete utter ref show.
Yeah.
Fuck,
Just a ref
hate to
show
see
all
it.
around.
Freaking,
Yeah.
he had a parlay. He had a parlay.
Justin, that ref had a parlay 100%. But yeah, I mean, really, if you watch that game, I mean, it looked like, man, PSG were done for in the 20th minute. Barca got the early goal, just completely out of it. They were trying, couldn't really get anything going. Barca were pinging the ball around the field. It's just unreal. Just yeah, to see it go completely 360 and the opposite way off of one just disgusting call. And it did cause quite a bit of tension for sure. Gundogan, who said he didn't see it, he did have some comments. Either way, if you challenge for the ball, you got to make sure you're going to get it, which kind of left a bad taste in Araujo's mouth, I guess. As he said, he prefers he prefers not to speak his true thoughts on that. But I mean, it's tough. I mean, Gundogan came from City. I mean, excellence. I don't necessarily know that anyone from City would have done what Araujo did, but it just hurts for sure, no matter what, when you've won it and then you're going again to compete and I mean, the game was won. In my opinion, the game was won. Barca good 11 men, they win this game no problem. They might even cakewalk them. I mean, 1-0 and quickly, they were dominating, getting shots they wanted. Yeah, just might have cakewalked them, but yeah, to go out that way is definitely the worst. And to have to stay on the field for sure with 10 men, couldn't have been any fun either. But moving on to the next game. Oh, by the way, Mbappe stinker, led by a penalty and not a consolation goal, but just the
Dagger.
blew it all out. Barca blew it all out. Tried to get what they could back, and PSG just happened to score off of it. But yeah, truly unfortunate. Mbappe stinker, Mbappe PR. They're up there, so he's getting the shouts, getting the praises. PSG advance to face the winner of this next game. Dortmund Atletico finished
Banger.
4-2. That's
Absolute
game of
banger.
the week. My game of the week for sure. 5-4 on aggregate. Dortmund were down one. They go down. No, I think Dortmund scored first,
Yeah, Dortmund scored
and then
first.
and then it was 2 goals against. and then they come back and score the rest unanswered. But yeah, I mean, truly, I had a feeling, Barca and Dortmund were kind of my two dark horses that I thought could get further than they should, and I think Dortmund have been played well enough so that they could really get to a final. I mean, we saw
What
what they did
happened?
to PSG in the group stage. They absolutely dominated them. They absolutely dominated the entire, group. So we'll see what happens there. Sule, I feel like clamped down on Mbappe. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's going to take something truly special for sure for them to win. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think they have a solid squad, and I think they have a chance to at least make an appearance in the final.
Yeah. I was watching this game on my phone while the Barca PSG game was going on, and I was paying attention to this game a lot. Um, Atletico struggled a lot. Not until they subbed on Correa. He had chances where he should have scored more than enough to have a hat trick. Just easy chances he missed. He ended up getting a goal, but still, like there was chances where he could have buried the game well before. Um, yeah, it's kind of disappointing. I feel like Griezmann was really quiet that game. Um, obviously, um, I feel like Aspilicueta really struggled that game. Morata didn't really do much. Uh, I feel like there was times where Llorente was trying to do everything and he just couldn't do it, especially because they're just defending for their freaking lives, and then when they do try to make something out of the attack, it just falls flat, falls short. Waiting for everyone to join the attack and just never fizzles into anything.
Yeah, definitely. No, I thought it was surprising a little bit. Atletico were coming out when they scored those two goals. I mean, they were playing quite offensive at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You knew the defending would come, but I mean, Atletico really has. I mean, we always say that Simeone has one of the best defenses there is. So I mean, yeah, for them to put four away against them, you know, but like we said, it was an at-home game for Dortmund, so energy would be insane. Just yeah, a little bit of a shocker that it ended, necessarily 4-2 in the game, but it was really close on aggregate. So I mean, made it for sure worth it. It was a banger, but still, Dortmund PSG on to the next round for a chance at the final. Dortmund, like we said, Dortmund have had their number for the entire season so far. We'll see what they could do, but it's definitely going to be a huge one. I know the atmosphere at least Dortmund will be insane. I assume it will be insane at PSG as well, but we will see next. I think the first game is the last day of
April
this month.
30th. Yeah, April 30th.
Yeah,
Bayern Madrid.
yeah. So that we'll see that Bayern Madrid. Going on to the Wednesday games, we'll start with Bayern Arsenal. Bayern get the 1-0 win and take the aggregate by one. Joshua
Watch FC.
Kimmich. Yeah, Joshua Kimmich gets the go-ahead goal that gives it to him, and the Harry Kane script lives. And that, you know what? That's the script that I'm hopping on the bandwagon to. That's the script. Imagine the storylines will say Harry Kane went all the way to Germany to win a trophy, basically against the English clubs. I mean, they had to take out Arsenal. If they managed to take out Madrid, you know, Madrid not necessarily bested City, but still, I mean, that's quite the task there. But Bayern Arsenal, it wasn't the best game, but it definitely showed a lot of weaknesses in Arsenal, I feel like. And it's always weird. I mean, Arsenal absolutely dominate every game they play. It just felt, man, like I don't know what it is for Arsenal. As an Arsenal fan, it must be absolutely
Yes, they
infuriating.
dominated that first half. They had a lot of possession. They were still even in shots, but it was just nothing was going their way. I do want to pull up Starboy Soccer stats because Arsenal fans claim He's the best right winger. Should be starting for England. All right. 90 minutes against Bayern's weakest team in who knows how long. Total of 0 shots, 0 chances created, 1 for 4 on successful dribbles, 0 for 4 on crosses. Come outside. Come outside, Saka.
Outside soccer. That's funny.
Don't
Yeah,
even
just
get
the
me started on
absolute
the rest.
stinker on the last kick of the game. He had a corner. Honestly, that was I didn't even watch the game. Honestly, like right when it happened, just because I was so focused in on
It
City
was,
Madrid.
I was
But
watching both at the
honestly,
same
after I
time. It was
saw
hard.
that, I could not believe that. After that, I really couldn't believe that. That's quite unreal. But yeah, that was an absolute stinker of a corner. Either way, they're out. Yeah, just truly unfortunate for them. It must be quite infuriating, as their fan. They dominate just about every game they play. They dominated the first half. They still. I mean, it's not like they didn't do what they could do. It's just sometimes you play good football, sometimes you lose, but it's always the best teams when it comes to playing Bayern. The best team's always best Bayern. That's usually what it is. I mean, we see Man City play them almost every year. They pretty much dominate them every year. If Madrid get Bayern, it's not a worry for Madrid. You know, Unfortunately, Arsenal they haven't been able to put it past them yet, but they're just it kind of just goes to show levels. I mean, if you truly are one of the best clubs in Europe, Bayern really shouldn't be that much of a task for you at all, especially with the season they've been having.
Yeah, and it's the fact that Bayern's best player, arguably that match, was Eric Dyer, buddy. He was absolutely insane.
He's
He
been
was
quite unreal the last couple of weeks, though. That's
he
yeah. Shouts to him.
he said it's a London derby, buddy,
Yeah, yeah,
and
dude.
he was insane.
That's what they needed. They
He gave
said, "Hey,
all of them a hard
Bayern,
time.
yeah, Bayern said we need some English mates to come in here and handle our business for us." And they got Harry Kane and Eric Dyer, and Harry Kane delivered round one or leg one, and Dyer leg two. Moving on to another game of the week, I'd say Manchester City versus Real Madrid, 1-1 draw that goes into penalties. Madrid were greeted with the Champions League trophy, as well as City was on display for them before the match and during the walkouts. Really, truly, I mean, this was, as close
Basically,
as it gets to a final, what everyone would love a final to be. But I mean, it was a one-sided game, and just like everyone said in the post conference, really, it really just looked like one team was out there playing football,
I got your present.
and it wasn't enough, mate. It wasn't enough.
Take it.
To start off, I like to say I'm very disappointed for sure. There's not much more I really could have asked for, though. I mean,
Watch
just
our sheep.
absolute dominance, absolute dominance. Really just missing chances. I mean, that was the biggest to it. These are professionals, but at the same time, I mean, the game is quite hard. I mean, you try to go out there yourself and hit one of these volleys like Valverde, I guarantee you'll whiff it. Hitting those balls, crosses from, professional players, it's just quite unreal. But I'm just gonna read off some stats here, just to give a sense of how this game really was. It's quite unreal. Let's go possession. Possession was led by Manchester City 67.3% to 32.7% from Madrid. Possessions lost in the defensive half. We have 13 from Manchester City, and it was led by Madrid's 59 possessions lost in their half. Possessions lost in middle third. That was 30 from City, 55 from Madrid. Madrid did have 129 duels won to 128, so they did have a better post there. Aerial duels were tied for both teams. We had more successful dribbles by two. We had 18 corners to their one. Just absolutely quite unfortunate. And we had 88 touches in their box. That is the most on record for a Champions League match since 2007-2008 season. And they also had 33 shots, which is the most in a knockout game since 2020. So just quite unreal. Um, Tough one to swallow for sure. Man, yeah, it just sucks. I mean, you play the best ball you could play. Maybe this was maybe one of the best games I've seen them play all season in forms of dominance. When do you ever see Real Madrid just it looked they were completely hopeless for the
They
entire second half of the game. They were hopeless.
they were defending for their lives,
They
buddy.
they were honestly their game plan the second half of the game just felt like kick the ball out to Vinny and let him try to run. And honestly, Kyle Walker absolutely bodied him. Like, it's unreal to see that a 33-year-old man is outrunning Vinny. But that's what we missed in the first half. Imagine in the first leg we have that, maybe Rodrigo doesn't even get a chance to score one of those goals. Maybe not even at all. Those first two, it's quite unreal the difference that he made, especially on counters, because there was a couple counters that were a little bit dangerous, but he absolutely changed the game on those. But yeah, it definitely sucks. Was an unreal game to watch. I loved it. Penalties, I always say in general, no matter if it's a referee call, if it's one call, if it's penalties, no matter what, you should never let it get to penalties. That anything can happen. You don't have to be great. You don't have to be good. You pick a side where you're gonna shoot. You shoot it. You have a certain percent chance to go to score it, um, and that it takes a little bit of luck, and that's about it. But yeah, shouts to Madrid. They did what it took to get to pens. That's what they were playing for. It seemed, and they did the job, and they got past. And for all I know, they'll probably win it. But yeah, it definitely sucks, and we should have never let it get there. But it was still a stellar performance from the team, and I thought Doku really, really changed the game once he came on.
Definitely.
Jack Grealish did a really good job too in the beginning, but they did say that Holland, De Bruyne, and Akanji all asked to be subbed off. Rightfully so. We played a ton of games the last 10 days. We got more games coming up this weekend. We got a Saturday game and then a Tuesday or a Wednesday or Thursday game, and then back to the weekend again. So it is still a tough stretch. It's that point in the season, but that's why honestly last season it was so glorious because all the competitions, what's the difference? There's no difference, right? This season, last season, same amount of games played. It's just having the ability to play a full 90 minutes plus week in, week out, every game. It doesn't happen often. We never see teams trouble, quite rarely. To even be this close to a repeat trouble was it's like you're not gonna it's not gonna happen, but when it's finally not a reality, it sucks. It truly sucks. But that's all I have to say about this game. Do you have anything to add?
Come outside, Phil Foden.
Bro, Phil Foden played. Dude, okay. To be
I'm
fair,
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Man
I
City
don't
played a great
understand.
game. They did everything they could to score, but Lunin had the game of his life. 9 saves against last year's winners. You know, they defended with their lives and they did the job. You could tell right after they scored, they stopped playing the way they were playing. It was just waiting for that counterattack. They were literally just in their own half most of the game. Um, they would try to get it out of the box. Bellingham would get the ball for a little bit, lose it right after, and back again. Man City coming in attack. I do think the Doku sub was an absolute same sub. He played really good. Super unfortunate not to um, play a bigger part in getting an assist or a goal because I feel like that was just the right sub at the right time. You got Carvajal in the yellow. He's gonna miss the next match. Grealish gave him such a hard time, and you sub him off and put just another fast-pacing winger that's not afraid to go at you. Was just the correct sub. I did also like um, the Julian Alvarez sub. I felt that was a good one. Um, I feel like all the subs were just good subs, and they were just unfortunate in this game. Because like if you saw the way Madrid was playing, you thought they were playing like freaking Burnley. Like Sam Dykes was out there,
Yeah,
freaking manning them. He said, "Low block, defend for your lives," and that's exactly how the game felt. Like if you constantly watch Champions League games and if you're new to the sport and you know about Madrid and how they play, if this was your first time ever watching Madrid gameplay, you would be completely shocked because they did not play like how they usually play. They looked disgusting. They would just park the bus FC, and yeah, Man City super unlucky not to come away with the
yeah,
with the result. It just wasn't meant to be.
yeah, yeah. That's for sure. They say quite a bit of times with the Champions League. We've seen it years. The best team in Europe doesn't always win it. I mean, I've felt that way. The last couple times, maybe Bayern. Bayern won it. Even when Chelsea won it, they weren't necessarily. I mean, everyone knows it just came out of nowhere for them that season. It just came out of nowhere. It's not always the best team in Europe that wins it, but like I said, shouts to Madrid for being able to do it. They have the excellence in their club. They're the definitely the biggest club in the world, I'd say. Alongside maybe like a Manchester United, but yeah, definitely shouts to them. Congratulations to them, and you know that Bellingham Madrid PR is quite unreal because dude had an absolute stinker. He had a couple nice touches and stuff that led to the only goal, which was good, but they're praising him for that like crazy. Moving on, our Champions League games will recommence here at the end of the month, so we will be back at least for one more Champions League session. At the end of this month, we'll have Tuesday, April 30th, Bayern and Madrid. And then the next day we'll have Dortmund PSG on the Wednesday, May 1st. And then the following week we will know who will play in the final. But that is coming up. There's only going to be one game, or no, I'm sorry, 3 games in May. Uh, basically, basically 2 games. It's going to feel like just because that last game is the last game of this month, and then it starts the next day. But the final will be played in June 1st. So still a bit of ways from the final there. And then we got a couple other tournaments that are coming close to an end as well. So let's go to our Premier League preview of the weekend. Big games for the bottom of the table. What do you got?
Hey, watch FC is not over yet. Liverpool, where are you at in the Europa League?
Yeah, Liverpool out of the Europa.
You are not safe. I don't care. No one is safe. They got battered 3-0 in the first leg, and they got a 1-0 win today. Oh, I lost you. You there? Paging Gab. Liverpool, you are not safe. Come outside. Hate Watch FC. We are here for it. Just a little Salah pen to get your consolation goal, but Europa League ain't made for everybody. That's all I'm saying.
Klopp farewell tour is still on, but just it'll have to mean more from this point on for them
Get
to get
more.
something. But yeah, we'll see what happens with them. Moving, like we said, into the Premier League weekend, there is big games for the bottom of the table. We are starting off Saturday. We have Luton Brentford. That is at Luton. That's a really big game for the bottom of the table. If you guys pull up the table, you will see Luton sitting in the relegation zone. Where did my screen go?
A
Okay,
win
cool.
puts
There it
them
is.
1 point below Brentford.
Yes, a win will put them 1 point below Brentford. No. A win for them will put them a couple points below Brentford. Brentford are at 32 points. Luton are at 25. So 28 points. They could jump 2 spots potentially over Everton for the day. And then we have our Sheffield Burnley game, as Ivan has a few technical difficulties. We have Sheffield Burnley at Sheffield. That one is going to be another massive game, potentially for Burnley. They are only 6 points off the relegation zone, so those 6 points will be really big for them. Forest just sitting at 26 points. You can see that, okay, he is back from his technical difficulties.
Technical
But like
difficulty.
I was saying, Burnley only 6 points away, so this game versus Sheffield could give them a really big burst to make it happen. With 6 games remaining, they do still have a chance. Looking at the next one, we have Wolves versus Arsenal. Gives Arsenal a chance to go to the top of the table for a couple of days at least.
Yeah,
I always personally think it's better to play beforehand. Puts more pressure on the other teams, like we
definitely.
saw last week. Yeah.
I could see this Premier title, this just being like a constant rotation of who's in first.
Yeah.
That's what I'm expecting. At this rate, it'll probably go last game of the week.
Yeah. Hopefully. That'll be quite awesome. I'll be on vacation last match day, so it'll be fantastic. All the teams will be playing. Going into the Sunday games, just as big games. I mean, we have Everton
Yeah,
Forest. That right there is
big game.
probably the game of the week, as their 1 point separates them. Both, one could go into the relegation zone depending on what happens with Luton. The other could Everton could potentially separate themselves a bit. Depending on what happens with the Brentford Luton game. But like I said, I mean, Everton and Forest alone, those two guys are not safe. Everton have never, ever in the entirety of the Premier League been relegated. So it's getting quite dangerous for them. Like we said, Burnley are 6 points away. So, Forest and Everton could find themselves down while Luton and Burnley stay up. But we will see.
All records must come to an end eventually, buddy.
Yeah, ain't that true? Aston Villa play Bournemouth at Villa Park. Should be a good game for them, but I do expect them to win. They are in a bit of a race of their own for that 4 spot. They are currently lead it, but Tottenham do have a game in hand, but they do have a goal differential at the moment. So we'll see what happens there, as Tottenham will play Arsenal next, and as they don't play this weekend. And then Villa go up against Bournemouth, a relatively easier one for them. Then we have Palace West Ham. Not necessarily a huge game for Palace. They kind of already solidified themselves as a little bit closer to not being relegated, but there is still a chance that they could get eliminated. Whereas West Ham are fighting for that 6th spot, only 2 points off of the 6th spot. They could go up, as Manchester United don't play this weekend in the Premier League, and neither do Chelsea or I think Newcastle. Yeah, Newcastle doesn't play this week either. So we'll see. They have a big opportunity to at least get some points and get some goals. We'll see what happens there, but that is a London derby at Selhurst Park. Then this one is one of my favorites, I'd say. We have Fulham versus Liverpool at Craven Cottage. Really coming off of Liverpool's worst week so far. We're gonna see what happens with them, but yeah, I mean that Fulham are always really tough, especially at home. But you also never know what you're gonna get from them. They could be the hottest team in the world
Vigo Munoz.
versus not versus just same as Chelsea. That's why they're fairly close together. But yeah, I hope big things from that one for sure. And then just as we'll preview it as well, we have a Tuesday game, Chelsea Arsenal at the
Big game.
Emirates. We'll bring it back up next episode as well, but it'll be out by then. By almost by the time that game's starting. So just to bring it up, I think that could be a tough one for Arsenal. That's another one potentially that Chelsea could change the title race with. Arsenal, not the best week either.
We'll do you a
So
solid.
top
We'll do
three,
you solid.
top three clubs all having a little bit of a rough week in the Premier League. We'll see what how they maintain and keep their balance and see what happens. But I think the games of the weekend, the true games of the weekend, we will look at the FA Cup here in a moment. Let's go have a look real quick at the stats for the Premier League, as very, very interesting stuff. Erling Haaland sitting up top with the main man, Cole Palmer, at 20 goals of the season.
Get it?
Quite surprising. As I've said before, really a win-win for, City and Chelsea. A lot of people say Chelsea absolutely robbed us, but at
Please.
the same time, realistically, Cole Palmer may cease to exist if he's still at City. And I mean, he knew it. He knew it. He bet on himself. Good for him. There's nothing more you could say.
Bravo,
Guy,
boy.
He very well could have been Phil Foden 2 years from now, or maybe next year. But I mean, he bet on himself, wanted to leave, got to leave, and man, to be top goal scorer, to be in the top 5 for assists, and basically your realistic almost debut full-time season. Basically he's now the identity of Chelsea. He's their franchise player, their star boy now. Big shouts to him. Congratulations to him. He'll be a star for years to come for sure. But yeah, I mean, Haaland's still up there in perhaps one of his worst seasons,
Which is
allegedly,
crazy
according to
to even say.
everyone. Yeah, it's just crazy to say.
And Ollie
Ollie
Watkins
Watkins,
right behind.
yeah,
Hey, shout out to
absolutely
Villa.
unreal.
Only team in England still in Europe.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
props to that.
Thanks to Emi Martinez, that absolute pen god. But yeah,
Yeah,
you got Mo
because
Salah, Alexander Isak, Solanke all tied up there too with 17. Honestly, if I took a picture of this list, showed it to myself at the beginning of the season, I'm going to say, okay, yeah, Erling Haaland there makes sense. Maybe we think, maybe at the time we don't think he's having necessarily a bad season like everyone says. We'd probably say, oh man, what a great season. But we'd definitely be shocked, with Cole Palmer, with Alexander Isak, Solanke, maybe
Bowen.
not still Ollie Watkins, but yeah, Bowen, Foden, and Saka. I mean, those are some big ones, some shockers for sure. And then in the assist range, I'd say probably Pascal Gross is a surprise. Julian Alvarez surprise. Pedro Neto, wasn't really too big of a star before this season. Now he's showing out. Cole Palmer,
Bailey and
same thing.
Alonga as well.
Leon Bailey and Alonga, yeah. And then, but yeah, just quite a bit, quite good for them. Shouts to Cole Palmer once again. Just bet on himself. Love to see it. And we will have a look at the FA Cup.
All right. So Saturday's game of the week
Saturday's game of the week.
for all the
9:15.
marbles.
All the marbles.
Oh, Cole
At
Palmer
Wembley
hat trick.
Stadium. At
Wembley
Wembley Stadium. I don't know about Cole Palmer hat trick. It is a Cole Palmer revenge game,
revenge game
but
part
after
3.
coming off the loss that City are coming off, playing as good as they played, you gotta feel that there's some rage coming. You
You
gotta feel
guys
there's some rage.
do yourself a favor. Just forget about that game. Focus on the Premier League. Let us win, and then we'll handle Arsenal for you guys midweek.
We'll see.
Take
We'll
on it.
see what
Done
happens.
deal. Phil Foden, come outside. Rodri, your streak's gonna be broken.
Realistically, I don't think Rodri plays. I don't know. I definitely believe that De Bruyne will get a rest. I think Foden will start in the middle.
Holland should get a
Um,
rest, especially
yeah, I think Julian Alvarez should start as well.
Oscar
Holland could
Bob.
come on later on. Not Oscar Bob. I think they still realize that they want 2 trophies. But I just think, and what I don't get, I wanted to say this earlier, but I was saying too much about the game. If you go back and watch the game, Phil Foden in the original lineups, it shows he's going to start in the middle, right, with De Bruyne. Doesn't happen at all. Bernardo Silva's in the middle. Foden's on the right. About the 60th minute, they give him a little freedom. They tell him, come inside. He comes inside. They get their first opportunity of the half. I'm like, okay, this is making more sense. Phil Foden continues to play in the middle. They score a goal. They find a way. They're playing a lot more dominant. It's so much better with Phil Foden in the middle. He scores hat trick after hat trick in the middle. It's so tough, like, to see him starting on the wing still. I don't understand. Like, I understand that he must be included every single time, but realistically, I mean, De Bruyne's time is fading. Realistically. And yes,
Vincent's
he
on his
deserves
way in.
every ounce. Yeah, he deserves every ounce. But it's just you gotta try to implement them together, so that way when De Bruyne fades and actually leaves, it just Phil Foden is that much more confident. He's been there, done that, has the experience, knows how to be the De Bruyne guy. And then it's just beautiful. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully Phil Foden gets a start in the middle. But big game for sure.
Big.
Chelsea want it, I'm sure, just as much as Man City want it.
We need something, buddy.
Yeah.
It'll secure us a spot for Europe if we win the FA Cup.
Yeah. The only chance of silverware they got, or they could finish with, we could see a repeat Man City, Man United final once again. But we'll see.
Chelsea Coventry.
Ivan's boring a Manchester derby somehow. Anyways, still, I'm going to go Man City. Maybe a narrow win, but I hope it's an absolute bashing, like 6, 7, 8-0. Man, I hope so, but we'll see. And then we already know Ivan's picking Chelsea.
We're winning, buddy.
We'll see.
3-1. Cole Palmer.
3-1. Wow.
Phil Foden, come outside.
I truly believe that whoever starts at left back will absolutely pocket whoever starts at right wing, right mid, whatever you say. Anyway,
all I'll
moving
say
to Sunday's
is
game.
Caicedo has been insane. He will show up.
We'll see. Going on to the next game, the final game of the weekend, we have Coventry versus Manchester United at Wembley again. 7:30 a.m. start time for us. Obviously, Man United favorites have the cakewalk to the final, but they've had a couple rough weeks. The internal issues going on. Garnacho, Anthony. I'm going to look up Garnacho, see if there's an update on his punishment. I wonder. I really truly wonder what will happen there.
Okay.
Yeah, allegedly he was gonna punish him for something, but I don't know what exactly that means. What is today? What's the date today?
18th Thursday. All the signs are pointing for a Southgate replacement.
Honestly, and like I told Mike in the last season or in the last episode, the Euros is gonna be huge for Manchester United. I think Gareth Southgate makes a really good run with all that talent. You know, that's kind of what you're gonna want to see. He's already the favorite. You know, they get to the quarterfinal, the semifinal, the final, they win it. You know, definitely, I think he could get the job. We'll see what happens though. Let me see real quick. Nothing new. Yeah, nothing new. Allegedly, there is some stuff about Bastian Schweinsteiger saying that he was banished from Manchester United at the end of his tenure
Yeah,
from Mourinho.
it's hard to
That's the
hear about.
only that's the only news about United so far. But I'm sure by the weekend, probably Saturday, which is 2 days from now, we'll find out. You know, if Garnacho will play, if Anthony will even be in the squad. So we'll see for sure. But I think Manchester United have this one in the bag regardless, unless the Cinderella story continues.
Hoping.
Ivan just wants to cakewalk to the trophy, basically, but he's not going to get it from City.
Cakewalk.
Maybe City will get it from Chelsea. We'll see.
Can't see it happening.
But yeah, absolute, good weekend coming up. We will see what happens. We will be there. We'll be back on Monday evening to record, and the episode will be out Tuesday, recapping the weekend. And we also have weekday games next week, so we'll be in with a
Big
full
games.
slate there.
Very big games.
Big games. We'll be in with a full slate there, and just coming closer, finding who's gonna win. City's still on for a double. Hopefully, we'll see. And the final games of those FA Cup, uh, you know, whatever happens, the final will be May 25th. So still about a month out, over a month out from that. Even though we find out the results here pretty soon. And then final match day for the Premier League is Sunday, May 19th. So that's fairly close. It'll be about final will be about a week after. And yeah, that's it. That's all we got for this week.
What we got? We'll be back soon. Some more cram. And then just waiting for the next Champions League
Absolutely.
games.
And there is rumors that the FA Cup will not have replays next season as well.
So it'll be big, it's going to be big for all these teams.
Yeah.
They're playing 50 matches a year, more than 50 games
Yeah,
a
they
year. Or it looks like they're going to adapt. They're going to take on the Carabao Cup rules. So if after full time it's a draw, straight to pens. I think um, everyone can agree that it's the best, especially when you're like in the fifth round. Um, you know, if you're playing, a team like say, like when one of the teams plays Wrexham, like middle of the season, just a hassle to deal with a whole replay. It'd be better just for the players, and hopefully, we see injuries go down.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see what happens there, but yeah, I mean they've been screaming for, game reductions for quite a while, players have, so it's pretty good for them. But yeah, we'll see. And I do like that. Kind of makes it a little bit more entertaining for the fans as well. You're definitely going to see a lot more games go to penalties, but it'll definitely be, a little bit odd too, just because, I mean, you might see it's kind of, I saw a story that, people said that it'll be kind of disrespectful for the lower tiers. At the same time, I mean, you get to a pen shootout, anything can happen. So I feel like there could be a lot more Cinderella stories
So
than not.
I agree. But yeah, you know, the fatigue it adds up. You know,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah, we saw it freaking Champions League freaking games, elimination games. Your best players are asking to be subbed off in Man City. I mean, yeah, you can see it right then and there.
yeah, definitely makes a case for just reducing the amount of games played, amount of time played. I'm all for it. I bet you're all for it.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's all we got for this week. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can reach us in the comments with any questions. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. And we will see you next week. Thank you once again for kicking it with Gab
Even Cheech.
and Chooch. Good night, everybody.
Go